Yeah, check 1 2, check 1 2. Is this mic on? Is this mic on? Hey, listen, man, it's the one and only trendsetter DJ Sense, and you're listening to CockTales, dirty discussions with Kiki and Medinah Monroe. Yeah.
Today's cocktail, you guys, is called insulin pussy. The ingredients you need to make insulin pussy is some vodka, some ice, and a splash of ginger ale. I love ginger ale. You're just going to take the ice, pour it in a shaker, pour the vodka in a shaker, however much you think you need. I think it needs to be strong. A little splash of ginger ale, shake it up, and pour the whole thing in a cocktail glass. And that's insulin pussy.
Oh my God. I just...
So
well,
listen.
Welcome back to CockTales Dirty Discussions, you guys.
Hey, y'all. We have a special guest with us this morning. We're recording for the first time in the morning. We have Clare Marie Edgeman. Did I say everything right?
You did. Yeah, you nailed it.
Yes. And Clare is the author of a book about, like it's a memoir about your life. It is called Finding a Fuck Yes, a Memoir of Orgasms and Insulin.
Indeed.
That hence why I named the cocktail Insulin Pussy.
I love it.
You have to have it one day. So we'll get into your book and everything about you and why we even wanted to have you on the show in a little bit.
First, we're going to go ahead and do weird sex.
You said a man is not a necessity, a man is a luxury.
Like dessert. Yeah. A man is absolutely not a necessity.
Did you mean that to sound mean and bitter?
Oh, not at all. I adore dessert. I love men. I think men are the coolest. But you don't really need them to live.
So this week's weird sex, you actually just posted it on the CockTales Instagram. And I was like, this bitch, I just told you it was about lions. But in case you don't follow us on Instagram or you missed the post, I found out via Twitter that lionesses have sex 20 to 40 times in a day when they're in heat.
God,
and if the lion can't keep up, she demands to mate. If the lion can't keep up, she bites his balls. And it's very ferocious. And I just think that's so crazy.
He just looked exhausted. Like,
have you ever seen a lion and penis though? They're spiky.
Big?
They have like little spikes on them. It's really, Google it and see. So yeah, but that's Google it for weird sex.
Let me make sure I don't Google that on my work computer.
Yeah, they probably think
bitch,
that.
What the fuck was you doing?
Right. Okay. So anyway, back to you, Clare. So we are going to play a game with you, kind of break the ice, and then we'll get started talking about everything else. So we're going to play the scenario game today. And the first scenario says you are spending the night at a guy's place and 2 of his kids come climb in the bed with y'all in the middle of the night. You've been dating for 2 weeks. Do you A, silently creep out of the bed and leave without saying anything? B, roll over and whisper, babe, your kids are in the bed with us. Is this appropriate? Or C, just tuck the kids in and go sleep on the couch?
Whew. Oh my gosh. I think like pandemic Claire would do C, just because I feel like I have a lot more generosity toward human beings and toward parents right now than I've ever had before. Like I had no patience for kids, and I still kind of have no patience for kids, and I'm actually getting my tubes tied on Thursday. So like no.
Congratulations.
Oh, you are not playing. You're serious?
Yeah. So I'm not a kid person, but I also feel like I, at this stage, would probably just be like, all right, tiny humans, like, please don't kick me.
Wow. I feel you, girl. I don't want to have kids either. Last time I asked about getting tubes tied or just total hysterectomy, the doctor looked at me like I was crazy and told me to wait. I'm going to ask him again.
Yeah, I fought for 5 years. So after 5 years, I finally have a doctor. And it's actually getting my tubes removed. They don't really tie them anymore. They take
Okay.
How old are you, Claire?
33.
Wow, you're deciding early on. We'll delve into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Here's the next scenario. You and Bae go on a short little road trip. Y'all are having fun. You're singing old songs, having great conversations. You get a flat tire. Bae looks at you and says, I hope you know how to change a tire because I sure don't. You, A, say, I sure do, babe. I got it. B, tell him you don't know how to, but you do have AAA. You'll call him. C, get annoyed because now in your eyes, he is not a man. He is not the man for you. And you do not want to be with a man who can't change a tire or even suggest AAA before asking for you to change it. Fuck him and fuck this road trip. I want to go home.
A all the way. I know how to change a tire. I am the only one in our relationship who drives stick. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm going to make him do the heavy lifting while I like stage manage the tire change. But
I think you are so nice, Claire. Wow. Because I'm going to be mad. I'm going to look like, what? Bro, like you don't know. This is a whole different trip. If you thought I was fuck you, I'm not fucking you no more.
I mean, if he is not willing to help change the tire, that's a different thing. Like if he's like, I'm not getting my hands dirty, like no, like, but if he's like, I just have never done this before. I'm a city kid who like I live in New York, like nobody here drives, nobody has a car.
You'd be understanding of that.
I'd be like, yeah, I grew up in Montana, I know how to change a damn tire. Like, let's do it together.
About to lose my blessing. Because I'm gonna be mad. What would you do?
He needs to help me change the tire. I know how to change a tire too. I'll never forget in college one time, the guy I was dating with his fine self. We were in my car and the battery died and I needed to jump it. He didn't know how to do that. And I was like, it's not even, and I'm like, it's not even like you've always had super nice cars, so you've never had like a shitty car, or you've never left the lights on or anything. You didn't have that experience. Like, I know, how do you not know this? It was just very disturbing. So I taught him.
Did you still talk to him after that?
I did. I mean, he didn't know, but it was just like, you need to learn this. So he was like, well, yeah, just show me.
Well, now y'all made me feel like I need to learn how to change a tire because I don't know how to change a tire.
You do need to learn.
I should probably learn.
What if you were by yourself driving somewhere and you don't have a signal? You can't use AAA. You're stuck. Yeah, it's really not hard. You're going to be standing on the side of the road like trying to wave somebody down. Okay, last one. You and Bae are trying to spice up your sex life. Bae tells you he wants to try double penetration with you, him, and another man. The other man is his brother. What the fuck, Medinah? Okay. A, grab your calendar and plan a DP date night. This has been a fantasy of yours that you have been embarrassed to reveal, and his brother is fine. B, absolutely not. C, you're offended that he even asked you, and now you think he's gay and want to break up.
Oh.
Well, I'll say my response.
B, and like, the absolutely not is the brother part.
Right.
Like, it's
you want to have sex with your brother?
It's not about the kinky sex thing. It's like, it's also like you want to see your brother have sex with me. Like, that's like, I don't get that. I'm not turned on by that. No.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have a friend who she recently just fucked twin brothers, and that's what inspired me to put this on here. She said it was sexy as fuck.
Will you ask her to send it in as a cocktail? Because I want to know the story.
A video submission.
Oh.
Twins that you do not know might be a level of very specific fantasy that takes that question in a little bit different of a direction. It's still
they still brothers, Claire. They still brothers, man.
Well, like, if I don't know either of them and like I'm never gonna interact with either of them ever again.
I feel you don't want to be like at Christmas dinner, like, hey Brad, can you pass me the potato salad?
Like if I have no emotional connection to either of these men, and in my head they just are clones, not like I don't know.
Kiki, what about you?
Absolutely not. First of all, one dick is enough for me. I don't want to be doubly penetrated. And I'm definitely not having sex with you and your brother. I'm looking at you weird. I don't think you're gay. I think you're weird because why are you trying to have sex with your brother? That would just make me so uncomfortable. What about you?
Well, you guys, I actually experienced double penetration this past weekend, and that'll be my cocktail. And so I'll tell you about it when we get there.
Was it with a brother? The brother part is what's throwing me off for real. Like,
might be a brother, might be a cousin.
All right. Well, can't wait to get to that part. Let's move on.
Claire, we wild over here, girl.
I love it.
Okay, so women who love sex. Let's talk about that a bit. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do y'all love sex?
Oh, mine actually changes. I'm like on a scale that like slides all over the place. But like overall for my life, I would probably land at like a 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Medinah?
I have phases of my life where it's different.
Yeah.
So I think that it's weird because my love for sex, I've always had a love for sex, even when I was a child. I hate to say this, but I was always that kid, like let's play boyfriend and girlfriend, or let's play house. And like, I'll be the dad and you be the mom. I sound like such a little creeper, but I've always been interested in like sex, and I wasn't having it, but I've always just been the little kid that wanted to creep and sneak and watch porn or craziness. So I would say that I love sex. I'm going past the scale of a 10, and ever since I hit 31, bro, it's like really off the charts. I am like that lioness who's biting the balls of the lion. I want it, and I want it now. It's my dick, and I want it now. Y'all seen that commercial?
Mm-hmm.
I really love sex.
I can tell. I would say I'm like a 9. Most days I really love sex, and then other days it's like, don't touch me. I don't even want to touch myself. Very rare, but it happens. But I do enjoy it. I was upset this morning because people were texting me and just text after text after text, and I was trying to watch porn on my phone and masturbate, and they were disturbing me. It was so frustrating. I was just like, fuck it, let me get ready for this interview.
I hate when you be click and ignore, like, even if you're dying right now, like, bro, I'm almost there. Give me a minute. And then to be that one person that wants to call back to back to back to back.
And it's like, I forgot to put it on Do Not Disturb. I'm thinking that eventually you'll stop. I'm not responding. What the fuck are y'all talking about at 8 a.m.?
Yeah.
but you know, whatever.
You masturbate early. Claire, do you masturbate?
Well, I woke
up. Yeah, I do.
How often?
Different now. Everything in my life is different now. But like normal Claire.
Is that because of the type 1 diabetes? And we'll get to that.
Yes, a little bit. And also just like stress during being a high risk person during a pandemic in New York City, like stress and like variety for me, like variety is the spice of life. And like, we have left our apartment 12 times in the last 4 months. Like, so that is hard. I also tend to like masturbate when my partner is not home, and my partner is always home. You know, so that is a different thing too. But yeah, but I'm also the type that like, I'm all about the vibrator, like get like especially the like I hate that it's called a womanizer, like it's such a stupid name for a vibrator, but like the suction vibrators, like
those are my favorite.
Oh, it's so great to just be able to have just like a stress relief orgasm in like 3 minutes.
And
like,
I don't know
if that available when I was 19.
I was just about to say, I don't know how long the vacuum suction vibrators have been around, but I'm like, how were we before? Like, I can't imagine vibrator life without that now.
We were patient as fuck before.
We were patient and we used our imagination, but with that section, you don't need to use your imagination.
It's like, you don't really need anybody else, because that thing is going to get the job done, and it's quick and efficient. You won't mess up your hair if you just got it done.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Wean yourself off of it. I've gotten to the point now where when it's the week that I'm going to see my little bae, I have to not use the toy until I see him, because it does get you there so quickly. And it can become like, now I'm making this man work harder.
Yeah, today was the first day in a long time that I actually got to masturbate. I've been in Texas forever, it seems, and so I'm not going to be masturbating while I'm sleeping on my mother's couch. I was just so happy to get back. So happy. So how old were you when you became sexually active?
I probably, that's a hard question for me to answer actually, because I really, really wanted to be sexually active a lot younger than I was. I grew up in a really small town, like 900 people, small
Oh,
town.
wow.
Middle of nowhere. There were 10 people in my whole class, like 200 in the K-12 school. And like, I was that weird, nerdy, artsy kid. And so like, all I wanted was to be sexually active with someone, but like, I didn't understand my queer identity. The guys didn't like me. Like, I had all this sort of body shame because I was like, at the time I was like a size 8, which to me was like horrifyingly large, which is insane now in retrospect. And so I didn't, and then in college, I also was like still this awkward, like there was just a lot of awkwardness. There was a lot of blocking it. So I had penetrative sex, like lost my virginity. Though I don't really believe in the concept of virginity anymore, but like that moment didn't happen until I was 22. And then I like really made up for some lost time between 26 and 30.
Yeah.
So, like, I was getting it in. I was fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah. 22 to about 27 was a good run for me. Ooh, yeah. So why do you say that you don't believe in the concept of virginity anymore?
I was just about to ask.
Yeah. So there's a lot in the sex positive community about that, like that virginity, or at least how we typically define virginity, is like a total social construct. Like, especially when you think about, like, for me growing up in rural Montana in the 90s, like virginity was penis in vagina. Like there wasn't even a concept of loss of virginity for two women. Like what defines that? Is it the first time you have an orgasm with someone else? Is it the first time their fingers penetrate you? Like, so the more I started to like interrogate for myself this whole idea of what is virginity and what do we deem the moment that it's lost. It's also that idea of that's something that especially a woman loses. Mm-hmm. So like the whole idea around virginity is I mean, I know the concept exists, but I understand it as a cultural concept rather than a biological or physiological moment of something happening.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's an interesting perspective.
And you broke it down very intelligently.
Oh, thank you. I read a lot.
Okay. So you wrote the book, Finding a Fuck Yes, a Memoir of Orgasms and Insulin. What inspired the book?
So for years, I would tell people about my dating life and people would say, when are you going to write this shit down? Mm-hmm. And so last year I was, I knew I was going to write a book. I was either going to write, I wanted to write a book my whole life and just hadn't, and it felt like the time to do it. And I was either going to write my sex memoir, or I was going to write a young adult fantasy novel. And I put a poll on Instagram, and way more people wanted the sex memoir than wanted the YA fantasy novel. And so I started writing it and found a hybrid publisher, kind of fell into working with this company. And it was a really interesting, cathartic experience. I've been a writer. I was a professional copywriter for years. So it was also just an exercise in like, I'm so used to telling other people's stories. I ghostwrite for other people all the time. And like, what is it like to use this to tell my own story? And I just wanted to, I read a lot of narratives about women being ruined by sex, or the stories that I was reading, the memoirs that I was reading, I didn't see myself anywhere in them. And the more that I was open about my life and how I was living my life, the more positive feedback I got, especially from young women in my life. So I was like, hey, if I write this down and tell people how empowered I was by casual sex, like other women might feel more empowered to like live that way.
When you say that you didn't see yourself in the stories you were reading, what does that mean to you? Like, what does that look like to you?
I didn't see women who, and granted, this was also probably the narrow lens of what I was reading. But like when I was reading things about sex positivity and things like that, it was either I fucked around a lot until I got married. Like Ophira Eisenberg has a memoir called Screwing My Way to Monogamy. Like very clever title, but like that wasn't me. I wasn't like, I'm not fucking around to just find somebody that I want to fuck for the rest of my life. Like I just really like casual dating.
Sex.
Yeah, I really like sex and I'm feeling really empowered by it. Or it was like, I'm a polyamorous person living in a commune and wherever, and I have no, like, there was one extreme or the other. I wasn't seeing myself or the women in my life who were like on Tinder, and also just this lack of belief from dudes I was hooking up with on Tinder that like I wasn't lying when I was like, no, it's cool. Like I'm down for casual. Like I really like this narrative of, but you're going to fall in love with me.
Oh my God.
Was like so strong. And so I was like, what if I tell my story because I didn't fall in love with those dudes. Like, like I've got the receipts. Like I'm not going to fall in love with you. And I also wanted to write the story of promiscuity where the last chapter wasn't, and then I met a man and now I'm with him for the rest of my life. And
it was still like, and I'm still out here fucking.
Yeah. But jokes on me, I proposed to someone before I wrote the damn book.
Wait. Tell us about this.
Yeah.
What made you decide to propose?
Are you with a man or a woman?
I'm with a man. Yeah.
Okay.
I use partner, fiance, eventually I'll call him my husband if we ever do get married. Fuck you, COVID. But we were I wear my wedding bands because we were supposed to get married in like a month, but all of this happened. And so I was like, fuck it, they're pretty. I'm wearing them.
It is pretty.
So, on our first date, my first date with my fiance, I told him that I was never having kids and I was never getting married.
First date, you were like, let me just put that out there on the table.
Because I was having a hard time like clicking with people who had the same kind of expectations, and I just really wanted to put it out there. It might have been the second date, but like it was really, really early on. And I had just come to a point in my life where I had just turned 30. I had like pictured my life for the next decade. I'd like visioned ahead into my 30s and been like, you know what? I have great friends. I love my community. I really don't need anyone to be a partner. Like I am my own partner. I make my own money. Like I'm good. And then I met him and we both just met each other like really, really as we were.
Did you meet him on Tinder?
We did. Yeah. Met him on Tinder. And I actually didn't swipe right on him. My friend swiped right on him. He's also a redhead, and I don't usually like other redheads.
You don't love gingers. You're a ginger.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm like, it's too many recessive genes. Like, even though I don't want to procreate, I'm like, it seems like a problem. So we met on Tinder. My friend swiped right on him because she's like, you'll be Molly and Arthur Weasley. You have to go out with this dude. And yeah, we met, and within the first 15 minutes that he walked in, I was like, oh no, hell no. Like ratty sweatshirt, like old sneakers, like it was like he didn't even like get dressed. Like I'm in like a dress and heels, and I'm like, oh no. And then like 30 minutes in, I'm laughing more than I have laughed in a long time. Like 3 hours in, we're still talking, and like we just didn't stop hanging out. Like,
so how'd this proposal go?
So I realized about 4 or 5 months into our relationship that marriage with him would mean something way different than I had ever conceptualized marriage to be. And I also realized that part of why I didn't want to get married is I didn't want to be proposed to. Like that never sounded romantic or exciting to me. But when I started thinking about proposing, I got really fucking excited. Like I loved this idea of like planning the proposal. I loved the idea of buying a ring. Like I got super psyched about all of it. And
were you surprising him, or did he love the idea also? Or was he like, no, I don't.
I think I was totally surprised. Well, he said I was totally surprising him because I had been adamant I was never getting married. So I also knew that like he wasn't going to propose because he was going to respect that boundary. So I realized it was kind of on me. And so I went from June 1st, I'm never getting married, to December 13th proposing.
Wow.
Did you get down on your knee?
We were both sitting by the Christmas tree. I tried to proposed, like it was snowing. I woke him up. I like dragged him into the living room and tried to get him to put on some pajama pants, but he wouldn't do it. So he's just like in his boxers and we're sitting by the Christmas tree. And I like told him I wanted to give him an early Christmas present, and I gave him the ring, and his ring hadn't come in yet. So I was using like my Claddagh ring, which is like a traditional Irish ring. And he got real confused. And so then I was like, oh my God, I actually have to say it. And I was like, will you marry me? And he's like, fuck yes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Did y'all cry?
Oh my God, we cried so much. We cried, we had sex, and then he threw up.
Why do you throw up? Was
he just too excited?
Oh my God, I joke with him that he is not the feminist that he thinks he is. That he like threw up because I proposed. No, he wasn't feeling well. That's why he was in bed earlier. I didn't even know. But he was so excited that he like didn't even acknowledge that in any way. And then an hour later, his body was like, "Hey, remember how you weren't feeling well? Like, that's
hello, let's go vomit."
Did you have any friends or
gosh.
any family members, either you or your fiance, that were like, "Girl, why would you propose to a man?"
Not so much. My mom was like, why would you propose ever? I thought I raised you better than this. My mom is very anti-marriage.
Okay.
But I had some friends who thought I had gone crazy because I was so, I've known I didn't want to get married or had kids like my whole adult life. So they were like, it's only been a few months. Are you okay? Like, have you lost your mind? I also had some peripheral friends who were like, aren't you worried he's going to say no? And I was like, do you really think I would have been planning a proposal for months to a man who
that I thought was you? I mean, you'd be surprised though, girl.
Yeah. But like
people get to the altar and say no.
I mean, I'm sure it exists in the world, but like I just knew, like, yeah, I don't know. I knew. I knew that he was gonna love that I proposed. And that's kind of why I wanted to propose, is that like the first time I wanted to marry someone was of course the person who was psyched about me being my whole complete self.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's exciting that you found your match. The Bonnet Chronicles podcast is here. You may know Tammy Roman from season 2 of The Real World on MTV, or Basketball Wives, or maybe as an actress and comedian. Tammy is also the creator of the Bonnet Chronicles account on Instagram that features Tell It Like It Is rants and has gained a following that includes Halle Berry, Taraji P. Henson, Snoop Dogg, Winnie Harlow, Tiffany Haddish, and Pink. Now, Tammy is bringing everything fans have come to expect from Instagram to the Bonnet Chronicles podcast by Starburns Audio. Tammy and her husband Reggie Youngblood keep it all the way real as they discuss love, sex, relationships, hot topics, and anything else they want to get into, with Tammy's daughters sometimes stopping by to give a younger generation's perspective. Nothing is off limits in the Bonnet Chronicles, and you won't want to miss a single episode. Subscribe to the Bonnet Chronicles podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, or wherever you listen to podcasts. New episodes every Wednesday. And now let's get back to the show. So tell us more about the book. Like, what is your sex life like?
Yeah, so it's very different now than it was then. The book is basically covers kind of from when I was 25, 26 to when I turned 30-ish. It ends with, like, spoiler alert, it ends with me meeting my partner, but that's not really, like, all you have to do is look at me on social media to see the selfies of us together. Like, it's not really that much of a spoiler. But the book is, I had these crazy experiences in my late 20s, and that now I know are way more universal, or are just, what I've been hearing from readers is they're not necessarily universal in experience, but there is a lot of universal desire to live that way, whether or not people are actually living that way.
To live in a promiscuous way. That's what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
To go to sex parties, to casually see guys, to like hook up with different guys in the same day, or even just to be driven more by sex than by love or dating.
And then you do also tie all of this in with you having type 1 or type A diabetes?
Type 1, yeah. So
I'm a type 1 diabetic, and originally the book didn't really talk about that much, and then I had some really good editors and early readers who were like, yeah, you need to talk about this. Like, it's part of, I remember when we were talking on the phone and you were like, you were trying to fuck somebody and your little pack kept getting in the way or something.
Yeah,
like that.
so like here, I'll show you. I'm attached to an insulin pump all the time. This is the new, more modern one. It was not quite this snazzy back in the day, but I'm attached to this all the time. Like, it's connected to me. I also wear a sensor, like this little thing on my arm is constantly talking to my phone, telling me my blood sugar. It's really great technology, but it is something that when you're getting naked with somebody for the first time, when you have plastic parts, can be a little bit vulnerable.
So you cannot remove that, like even when you shower.
So I take this one can unclip, like I can unclip this and take it off, but it's a conspicuous thing that happens, but this one stays on all the time. So like, I do have a story in the book about one time I was hooking up with this dude, and this was on kind of the top of my butt, because you have put it in lots of different spots. You put it in every 10 days. And he like grabbed my ass while we were hooking up and like ripped it out. Which hurts. It's like peeling off a Band-Aid, but also like you can't put them back in. Like, that thing costs a lot of money, and I can't get extras from insurance, and you just ripped it out. So it's like this, like, do I want to have an orgasm? Do I want to just keep going and like put it out of my mind? Or do I want to stop and explain how upset I am that he pulled it out? Like, so I also not seeing myself in the visibility of like, every sex scene in a book is like sanitized and perfect and lovely. And, you know, nobody's talking about taking off their insulin pump or like having a low blood sugar or just the logistics of, as a type 1 diabetic, like if my blood sugar is too high, I can't orgasm really, like maybe with a suction vibe, but like no other way. If I'm too low, I absolutely can't, because that's like you need to eat something immediately so you don't die kind of situation. So that level of like diabetes is, and it's like American Disabilities Week or whatnot, like it is a disability. It's an invisible disability as well as a disease. And part of coming to terms with that and feeling sexy while being attached to things and everything was having sex with guys who just didn't give a fuck. You know?
So have you ever hooked up with another guy who also was a type 1 diabetic and you're like, hey, let's look at our packs?
I haven't. I went on a date once with somebody who was, and it was almost like too much pressure, because it's such a personal thing of how you handle it that like if somebody else has different ways that they handle it, I found myself getting like weirdly judgy. But I have some friends, I have 2 friends that are both diabetics that are in a relationship with each other. And when the 2 of them and my partner and I go out together, we joke on him that like, he's the only non-diabetic and he like doesn't understand half the things that we're saying.
So I've never really had anyone young in my life that I know that is a diabetic. Have you, Kiki? Most of the people that in my family that are diabetic, they're older.
Yeah.
Is this something that you've always dealt with, or is it something that kind of has developed over time?
So that's the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes. So they're both called diabetes, which is kind of misleading for people because like y'all are saying, like all the diabetics I know are old. Well, probably type 2, because it's really rare to be young. Not really rare, but it's more rare to be young and have type 2. So the difference is, the super pared down difference is they both have to do with your body and insulin. With type 2 diabetes, which is truly like 90% of diabetics, it's almost all diabetics are type 2. And those are the people who, through lifestyle, diet, exercise, various factors, lifestyle factors, their insulin doesn't work anymore. So they have to exercise more or eat a specific way to try and get their body to recognize their own insulin. For those of us who are type 1, which is less than 1 million people in the US, like it's less than 1% of people, we don't produce insulin. So that's why we have things like this, is there's a bunch of insulin in here and it's giving it to me on a little slow drip all the time. So you probably actually know people that are young that have diabetes. It's just that you might not know that they do.
Yeah, I only remember one person in like junior high. He had it.
Yeah. Oftentimes people talk about the Babysitter's Club. Like I know there's a Babysitter's Club reboot right now. Like one of the characters on there is a type 1 diabetic. So like her dealing with her pump and her monitor and all of that, like that's the stuff. But some diabetics are super private about it and it's really hideable. Not everybody's attached to a pump. Some people just do injections. So there's no way visually that you would ever know. And some people, like I'm really open about it because I like sharing it and I like people learning about it. But some people don't want people to know that they're diabetic.
Yeah.
Have you always been open about it?
I have, and I think it's because I was diagnosed at the end of high school and I was a little musical theater performing art nerd coming into myself, and like I was open about everything. So yeah.
So you mentioned going to sex parties.
Yeah.
So going to sex parties, in most of the areas, you do have to like take off your clothes or be, down to panties and bras in some of them. What is that experience like with your insulin?
Yeah. So I actually write about this in my book because it was one of the things I actually Googled at one point what to do with insulin pump during a sex party, and like nothing useful on the internet about that. But the solve that I came up with was a garter belt. And so
sexy.
So it still felt sexy, and I could clip the pump onto the garter belt and just like kind of incorporate it into my costume. And when I went to sex parties, I was also going with, not with people I was dating, but with established partners. So they knew all about the things, like it wasn't like they were encountering the insulin pump for the first time or anything. But yeah, it's not like you can put it at coat check. Like I could take it off for a few minutes, but it also costs like $5,000. So I'm not checking.
Wow.
Oh, that man that snatched it off your booty, I would have been like, bro.
I would have been ready to fight.
Let me go ahead and send you this Cash App right now. Can you get him from CVS? Where are you getting from?
Oh no, it's definitely like hoops and hurdles, and your insurance only works with this one company, and blah 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 blah. We're in America. They make it as much of a nightmare as possible, and like these things don't have to cost what they cost, but we will die without them, so they'll charge whatever the hell they want to charge.
What a shame. So have you had any embarrassing experiences with your pump?
The second time I ever had sex, in college, I wore my pump in my bra, like between my boobs a lot, because I often like hid it between my boobs and it clipped there. And the second time I ever had sex was kind of like a drunken hookup at the end of like the last week of college before graduation. And this dude and I are hooking up. He takes off my dress. I'm not even thinking about it. He unclips my bra as I'm leaning over him, and my bra just falls because the pump's attached to it, and like thumps him in the chest really hard. And it definitely, like, it only killed the mood for a minute, but it was definitely one of those things. Like, he knew I was diabetic. He had seen my pump before. We were friends, but it was one of those things where, especially since sex was so new to me, it was literally the second time I'd ever had sex in my life. It was one of those moments where I was like, oh my God.
Has it ever affected your confidence at all?
I think it did, but it paled in comparison to being like a size 10 or 12. Like that was the more visible thing that I was actively taught to be ashamed of. So any shame or lack of confidence I had because of my insulin pump kind of paled in comparison to being a chubby woman. Like that was the thing that I was a lot more worried about and scared of. So if I had been thin, it may actually have been more of an issue, but because I was dealing with this bigger thing and like learning to love my body had to include it, I was much more concerned about like the size of my ass than I was about the plastic parts. I also was really lucky in that I never had anyone who was truly a jerk about it. And there are other diabetics who have had different experiences. I've only ever had women, not in sexual context, but I've never had a man be a jerk about diabetes before.
Have you ever had anybody like joke about it though? Like,
oh my God, all the time, and it drives me fucking crazy.
So you don't like the jokes?
Not because most diabetes jokes are like, oh my God, if I eat this whole pizza, I'm getting diabetes. And it's like, that's not how it fucking works. And like, I can eat a whole pizza. I just need to shoot a shit ton of insulin. Like I hate those like stereotypes. Or I've had friends not understand and joke when like I need to eat food or else I'll die. And they like really don't understand the severity of it. I'll make jokes and be like, why aren't you sharing? And I'm like,
bitch, I'm trying to live.
Like I'm actually trying not to die. Like I'm not being hyperbolic about that in any way.
When you talked about how like if your blood sugar is too low or too high, it affects how you can have sex or if you can have sex. Have you ever not checked it before you had sex and be like, whoa, I feel like I'm about to have an episode or something? Like,
yeah,
what?
I've definitely had like, okay, we need to stop and like have a snack. And for years I used to use honey as when I was low because I was an actor and I could like run off stage and like chug some honey and then be good. So
Would you ever like put some honey on his dick and be like, I can eat the snack off of you, baby?
So the thing is, like, I've definitely incorporated food in sex, and it has to get like super, like, I have to be super careful about it because I have to like shoot insulin for it and all that. So whipped cream is best because there's like no carbs in whipped cream. So like I'm a big advocate for whipped cream over like any other high carb things. But it's weird. It's almost an opposite thing because like I would have a jar of honey on my bedside table and guys would be like, ooh, that's hot. And I was like, no, it's not. When I taste honey, it's not sexy to me. It's like staying alive. Like the flavor gets associated with the panic. So it's like not sexy. It's like we pause. I have the honey. When we're done with that, then we can get back to it.
Oh, wow.
The honey. I like a little honey.
Yeah, sometimes.
Do you incorporate food in your sex life? Like when you're having sex, do you ever incorporate food or snacks?
Me?
Yeah.
Not often. I'm always so nervous that something will be too sugary and I'll get a yeast infection. But I have used like flavored lubes and stuff like that. But not really food.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I got something else you can eat.
I got some. This might raise your blood
we can eat after. I really like when they cook me breakfast or dinner, or, you know, whatever time of day it is. I like when they prepare a meal for me. That's always great. If I'm cooking, it's not the same.
Claire, so you and your partner, you and your fiance, y'all live together, obviously.
Yeah.
Has quarantine affected y'all's relationship in a negative way or a positive way?
Positive way. We have learned that we really fucking like each other. And like we spend all our time together every day and we're not tired of each other. So if we ever wanted to test for whether or not getting married was a good idea, this is like, yeah, we're pretty set. So
that is good for you. I can't say that for a lot of people.
I also feel very fortunate about that. Like this has been a very stressful time and everything, but I feel really fucking lucky that the person that I'm stuck in a 600 square foot apartment with in the middle of the epicenter, like, is a person that I really love hanging out with. So.
Well, I just looked at the clock. I think we should go ahead and move on to Indecisive Diane so we can make sure we get you out of here on time.
Would you stop thinking about what everyone wants? Stop thinking about what I want, what he wants, what your parents want. What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want? What do you want?
All right, Diane, what you got for us this week? Hey, ladies, I don't know about you, but lately I've been having some really weird, out of the norm cravings for myself. Like I just want really heavy food. You know, I want soul food. I want fried food. And normally that's not what I'm into, but lately I'm having the cravings. Well, girl, are you pregnant? Hey, listen, I haven't seen Marty in a couple of months. I have missed my period, so I'm not really sure. That could be it. Okay, girl, well, don't tell all your business to our listeners. What's the date idea? So listen, there's this place. It's been around since, I don't know, circa 1947. It's a downtown classic. They serve traditional soul food. It's a cozy storefront. It's called Busy Bee Cafe. Listen, you're gonna love it. Get the fried chicken, get some mac and cheese, or get the smothered chicken. Hell, get both. Where is this place located at? So here's the address. It's 810 MLK Jr. Drive, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia, 30314. It's not the cutest place, but it's a classic place. Go there, try it out, tell us how you like it. Thanks, Diane. No problem, ladies. Bye.
Awesome.
Okay, and now we're back from Indecisive Diane, and it is time for advice. So if you guys have questions for us that you want to ask us, email it, askcocktails@gmail.com. So, Medinah, do you have one up already?
I do. So this one says,
oh, go ahead.
Cut out or sift through the BS. Was that the one you have?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So she says, hey, ladies, I just want to say I love everything y'all have going on and prepared to continue to support the fuck out of y'all. I'm going to try to keep this as short and sweet as possible. Thanks in advance. I'm a grown woman who is vocal about everything I want in every aspect of my life. The men I've dated have always been so geeked to learn this because I'm sexually liberated and my communication skills are A1. I've been in committed relationships for 7 months. I've been in a committed relationship for 7 months and have been content up to this point. Again, I'm very vocal about my sexual and intimate needs. Lately, my partner has not been wanting to have sex, and whenever we discuss any possible issues, it always ends in frustration on both ends. There are other areas of our relationship that are starting to fizzle out too. Now, whenever I try to bring up the conversation, he gets extremely dismissive and then becomes distant. I've been trying to be considerate because there are a lot of things going on in the world right now. But even when I try to open a conversation to that, he still is not trying to have it. Honestly, I'm considering breaking up with this nigga because I don't want to cheat on him and I don't want to waste any more time trying to salvage a relationship that may be dead. I don't take advice from my friends because all of them are in very toxic relationships and they just say things can be worse. I'm a baddie that prioritizes my peace with 2 degrees. I don't need to settle for shit. Should I try one last time to have this conversation with him, maybe to see if there's something else going on, or should I listen to my gut and just break it off? Thanks for reading, and I wish safety and prosperity for y'all.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, girl, I prioritize peace too. I think that if he's not keeping peace of mind for you, leave him. What do you need to hold on to somebody for? Like, if you're thinking about breaking up with him, if you're thinking about cheating on him, you're unfulfilled and you're unhappy, it's okay to call it quits and move on with your life. There's no sense in wasting time.
And I always think it's interesting when people say, like, she's like, I'm a baddie. I prioritize my peace. But you're not doing it right now. So it's like you're almost answering your own question in the email. Let him go. Let that man go, girl. And if it's meant to be, he'll come back.
I have this phrase that I've been using in my life is that people in my life tend to be shoulding all over things. Like, I should stay. I should go. I should like it sounds like it sounds like you know what you want to do. Don't should all over it.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one else can tell you trust yourself. Like I mean that there's an element of like maybe his communication styles and blah 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 blah, but like if he's not doing that work on himself to even be wanting to tell you how he wants to communicate about it, then like I think
Yeah. And if you just want to, sometimes you want to be ratchet and spy on somebody to see if they are cheating. If you feel like you got to do that also, well, just have a peace of mind to be like, I knew I wasn't crazy. How sometimes you'd be like, I knew you was cheating. And you have me over here thinking it was something else. You over here fucking the hoes. You over here in these streets.
Oh my goodness. Okay, next one. This one says, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Hey, y'all. I'm not going to say your name. You guys are great. I'm just going to get right to it. An ex of mine has recently re-entered my life. The catch is he's in a whole relationship. He stays in my DMs talking about how I snatched his soul and how he can't get me out of his head, amongst other things. I know all he wants is the pussy, which is cool because he got some bomb-ass dick and we have explosive sexual chemistry. Also, a bitch is going through a drought right now, so a good old nut would be love. But he got a girl. I'm not trying to break up a happy home. Help. Love you guys. Sent from my iPhone. All right, so what do y'all think about
Sarah,
this?
I'm gonna let you go first.
Block him. Like, get him, like, no, there's a lot of good dick in this world. Like, so much good dick. Like, that, no.
Yeah.
Sorry, that reaction there.
Yeah. What do you think, Medinah?
So some of it kind of cut out on my end. She's sleeping with some other girl's boyfriend.
So her ex has been DMing her and hitting her up, but he's in a relationship now. She's single. He's in a relationship, but this is her ex-boyfriend. She's going through a sexual drought. She wants to have sex with him, but he has a girlfriend. So she's like, I mean, what should I do?
I mean, that is your ex. You've already had that dick and he's not married. So, I mean, I don't know how y'all broke up. If he did you dirty, bitch, don't do it. If he's with the bitch that he cheated on you with, like if he left you for her, I would say do it. But that's toxic. He's not married.
Okay, I don't think you should do it. You keep talking about this girl in this relationship. Don't forget about karma, and you could find somebody else to have sex with. I totally understand that it's a drought, but I would say leave it alone because you're bothered already that he has a girlfriend, and I can see this being an issue down the road. So if you do end up having sex, though, like send us a cocktail.
And if you do, just make sure you wrap it up because you already clearly know he's fucking somebody else.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it for the advice this week. Remember, once again, the email for all of the advice questions is askcocktails@gmail.com. And now it's time for us to move on to the cocktails.
But if you ain't got a buck, I won't cover. Spend 100 on me, it ain't nothing. Run a double D, so stuffing. Back to the point. Is it some cash in this place? If it is, I'll probably stick the stats in your face, turn around. Once upon a time, not long ago, I was a hoe, was a hoe, was a hoe.
So now if you want to send us a cocktail because you've been having some great sex or maybe you just had a very interesting experience, you can email that to cocktails.atl@gmail.com and maybe we'll read it on the show. So who wants to go first?
So I feel like, Claire, you should go first with your cocktail. I'm really interested to hear one of your sex stories, a memoir.
All right. So this was 5 years ago yesterday. So I feel like it was perfect. It like came up in my Facebook memories. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. I didn't post this on Facebook. I just saw the picture of Lisbon, Portugal. So I was in Dublin 5 years ago and I saw Once the Musical, which as like a white girl musical theater nerd was like amazing seeing it in Dublin. And like Glenn Hansard, who wrote it, was there. It was like this magical evening. So like I call this guy that I thought I was dating back in Montana. And I've been traveling for 6 weeks without him. He didn't want to come on the trip, which I should have known. And I call him and he texts me back and it just says, I think I met someone. And so I call him repeatedly until he picks up and he's like, we aren't dating each other. I'm like, you sent me a picture of your dick like last week. Like, what do you mean we aren't dating each other? So essentially we break up over the phone at like middle of the afternoon for him, middle of the night for me. I don't sleep at all. The next morning I fly to Lisbon, Portugal. And I am staying at a hostel that, I shit you not, is called We Love Fucking Tourists. They mean we fucking love tourists, but it is called We Love Fucking Tourists. And I'm staying at this hostel, jump on Tinder right away, right? Match with this gorgeous Portuguese man who like takes me out in the town, buys me all these drinks, keeps telling me how beautiful I am in like 4 different languages. It's amazing. We go back to the hostel, we're making out, but there's like nowhere for us to go, right? Because I'm staying in a dorm. So we're not gonna like hook up in the bunk bed with the Australian girl on the bunk above me. Like, like she did not consent to that. I'm not going there. So we're like making out in the bathroom. He's trying to like get it on in the bathroom. I'm like, no. There's no way I'm having an orgasm on this toilet. Like it's not happening. You're gonna go home now. And so as he's leaving, this dude from the hostel like catches us leaving. And he's like, Claire, no guests. And he's like this really cute, like suave Belgian man. And I'm like, I know. And so the next night I go on a pub crawl with the whole hostel. And this like really suave Belgian dude is on the pub crawl. And he keeps offering me drinks, but I'm like super hungover from the night before. Whatever. But eventually come like 3 a.m, like when nightlife gets started in Lisbon, which was like crazy to me. So we're out at like 3 a.m. at a club. He's getting me to drink some vodka soda and he leans in. He's like, I think you're very beautiful and I would like to kiss you. I was like, fuck it. Yes. Like, and we make out and we like wander back to the hostel and he's like, I have a private room. And I was like, I am taking
at the hostel?
At the hostel.
Oh, that's like a VIP hostel area.
Yeah. Well, so he's an employee. So he like has his own room. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll go hook up with this hot, but like I'll have rebound sex with this hot Belgian dude in like, yes, great. So we go into the hostel. We're walking in. He opens the room. It's a kitchen. Dude lives in a kitchen. Like,
hey, look, it's still a room. I ain't say what kind of room.
Like he rolls out a futon on the floor of the kitchen, like IKEA cabinets, laminate floor. Like, That's where this dude lives. And I have not had sex in 7 weeks because I was in this supposed long distance relationship. And so I'm like, fuck it. I'm hooking up with this hot Belgian dude in this kitchen. And we have like actually really fun, really great sex. Like he is super well endowed, like, which don't really necessarily care about, but it can be great. Super generous, like lovely, wonderful. And then I start giving him shit. I'm like, okay, you take the name of the hospital really seriously. He's like, no, Claire, I've never done this before, not with anyone. And I actually kind of believed him. He was very earnest. And I like sneak back up to my room, don't get caught, because he's like, I can't get fired. I'm not supposed to hook up with the guests.
Was the sex good?
It was really good. And like, I don't know, European guys, I don't know how you guys feel about European guys, but like, generally speaking, the sex I had in Europe, casually, way better than the sex I had in New York City.
Girl.
Yeah.
All right. One time I went to Greece and I met a Greek man and he couldn't speak English and I couldn't speak Greek. And the body language just matched up, and it was great casual sex. It wasn't the best sex of my life, but for casual sex, it was like, ooh, it was romantic.
Exactly. So the next night he like asked to take me out on a date, and I was like, yeah, sure. And we're walking, and he and I asked him how he ended up at the hospital, and he's like, well, I graduated high school last year.
What?
And I was like, what? I literally stopped in the middle of the street. I was like, excuse me, what? How old are you? And he's like, how old are you?
Oh my God.
I'm like,
I'm going to jail.
And he's like, I'm 20. And I was like, oh, okay. He's like, yeah, it took me 2 extra years to graduate. He was 21. He's like, it took me 2 extra years to graduate high school. And then I'm like, okay, what's worse, fucking the 19-year-old or fucking the 21-year-old who it took 2 extra years for him to graduate from high school?
Girl, I don't know.
I don't know either. Actually, I'd be like, well, I'm going to go back to that.
You guys, he couldn't afford dinner. Like, I had to pay for dinner.
That's the worst part. How is he going to invite you to dinner?
Yeah, so he tried to like get me back to his room again that night. I was like, no, the romance has died. I'm not feeling it. I'm gonna get a good night's sleep before I go to Switzerland and fuck this hot French dude I met on Tinder. Like, I'm out.
That is crazy. Okay, Medinah, I want you to go next because I want to hear this double penetration story.
But see, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna tell my story, but this is a story that can't be rushed, so I'm gonna have to tell it for the next episode.
We have 4 whole minutes.
It can't, because I'm gonna be rushing it and leaving out details. You know I love my details. Do you have a cocktail or you reading one?
I'll share a cocktail. Okay, so I have been gone for a long time, and well, I've been gone for a long time. So when I got back, someone hit me up and they were ready to see me. I hadn't seen them in a while, whatever. So I was like, yeah, you can come over. I'm back in town, blah, blah, blah. He comes over. Of course, I took my little cocktail of shoot orgasms and taste pills. As soon as I landed, actually, I was like coming home and I'm like, some people get really nervous about the flights, as they should be. But I'm like, you really came over here knowing I had just left the airport. Like, you didn't waste any time, nothing. But okay, whatever. So he comes over, we're having sex. And I've shared before how like, I'm not really good at deep throating. I think that my throat and mouth area is a little shallow, and I gag a lot. Like, I can't get very far. It's not good. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was the CBD pills that I took. I don't know if it was the combination of that with all the other pills. But for some reason, I just felt so relaxed. I was sucking his dick so good. I got it back in my throat. I even shocked myself. And I've even tried that little thumb trick. Huh?
Were you drunk?
Maybe I should stop getting drunk and that'll make it easier. I usually am drunk when I'm having sex. So anyway, y'all, I'm sucking his dick. And like, I had got on top of him. So like, my vagina's in his face. He's eating my pussy. I'm sucking his dick. And then, do you know that he stopped and called me a demon?
Like, how? You little demon?
He was like, oh my God, you're like a demon. And I was like, wait, what? And I turned around. But the look on his face, I could tell he was just saying that because I sucked the soul out of his dick. And he just felt like his soul had been snatched. And he was very appreciative, very grateful. And I'll probably do it again tonight.
You deserve a present.
I do.
Yeah, like
because I don't even like doing that.
Demon, you suck the soul out this dick, you deserve a present.
And now I'm like, I need to figure out exactly what I did that day. I can't remember, but I need to figure out exactly what I did that day so I can do it again. I need to try it again so I can make sure that this is a skill that I can add to my repertoire. And that's my cocktail.
And I promise y'all I'll have a cocktail for y'all next week and it'll be good. Claire, where can everybody find you? What do you have going on? Now would be the time to let everyone know.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram or my website, Clare Marie Edgeman, no I, Clare. The rest of it's easy, ClareMarieEdgeman.com, Clare Marie Edgeman on Insta. And I have my book. I actually am working on that young adult fantasy novel now, so like polar end of the spectrum. But the main thing I do is I do human design and tarot reading. So I'm an author and I'm a total witch. So like, if you ever, like, I feel like I need to talk to you ladies again someday about those kind of things, because like I look at human design and dating and sex, and like it's way easier for me as like a manifestor to be hooking up with all these random dudes than it would be for somebody who's a generator, like things like that. So yeah, I am just like unapologetically doing all the different things, like beyond brand. Like, if I want to do it, I'm fucking doing it. It's the end of the world. Like, do all the things that we're interested in.
Exactly.
Like, get it done.
Exactly.
Well, congrats on everything that you have going on. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and good luck with everything. And props again to your perfect shower curtain.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, remember to follow us at CockTales Podcast. I'm at Kiki Said So.
And I'm at Coffee Bean Bean.
And until next week, you guys, goodbye.
Bye.
I'm sorry, but the person you called has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet. Goodbye. Bye. 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 Bye.